Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Within Zionism, here with Ozzy Fine and Moshe Schwartzberg. How are you today, Moshe?
I'm doing amazing. This is another one of those amazing episodes. Let's see what we have to talk about today.
Yeah, this one's actually going to be a little bit different, I think. We took a survey, 2 surveys, so it's going to be a little bit of a different approach.
Yeah, this one should be fun. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the surveys that we sent out were the significance of serving in the IDF. So, first of all, Moshe, before we start this, I want to ask you, what do you think is the importance or the significance of serving in the IDF?
So, I feel like it's more of, for many people, and for me at a younger age, it was, okay, I have to do this, so let's just do it. As I grew older and I realized more of what this country means to me, it became more of a, I want to protect my country in the best way I can. So anything from cyber to really anything I can possibly do, I want to protect my country. I want to help make this country as good as it is while serving in the army as best I can.
Okay, I accept that. So yeah, for me it's a little bit, there's like a few sides to it. I remember when I was 7 years old, when I first found out that I was making Aliyah, one of the reasons I didn't want to was because I didn't want to draft. I was scared of the army. I was scared of the idea of, war and all that. And like I remember I told my parents, like, I don't want to die in the army. And now I'm dying to go to the army. So there's a little bit of a change ever since I actually made Aliyah. So I think it's really important because, first of all, in this country, everyone draft. Yeah, they force you, but I think a majority of people actually want to draft anyway. Like we spoke about in, I think, our second episode, actually, how Zionism and the connection that Jews have to Israel is a stronger connection than just patriotism. I'm pretty sure it was our second episode where we spoke about that. I really believe that because just the way the Jews are connected to Israel, the land, it's beyond just patriotism. It's more than that. There's an emotional connection that the people have to the land. So I think just fighting for it is just really amazing, and I feel lucky to be a part of that.
Yeah, I agree with the whole fact of it's more than just patriotism. It's a connection that Jews have to this land that makes it in some ways easier for us to be forced into it. So I feel like in other countries, I don't know, I've never been in other countries. I feel like in other countries, when you're forced, but they don't have this connection that the Jews have to Israel, it wouldn't be the same thing.
So yeah, that's what we think, and that's why that's what we think the significance is. Now we sent out 2 different surveys. One of them is why they want to draft, meaning why, we sent it on our social media, so anyone who answered why they would or why they are drafting, why they would want to. And then the other one is former or current IDF soldiers. So people who are already in the system or were in the system. And this is including lone soldiers and asking them why they served and why they decided to serve in the first place.
Yeah, and I told Ozzy before we actually started this, I wasn't actually expecting to get good answers, especially from the people who were going to draft. I expected mostly just teenage answers like, oh, they're forcing me or whatever. But we actually got some really thought out, really impressive answers. So
yeah,
Ozzy,
so we
let's go
only
through
got
them.
13 answers on this one, which is a decent amount. We're not going to go through all of them, so let's just go through the reasons, whatever. There were a few questions that we asked, but the main thing that I actually wanted to get out of this is why people are drafting. So the first one we have over here is because I owe it to my country. And then he sent an Israeli flag emoji. The only Jewish country, we got to protect the Holy Land, and we're finally here after thousands of years. So I really like that because there's, like I said about the emotional connection, how it's beyond patriotism. Like, we've been fighting for this land for thousands of years, and now that we have it, we just need to protect it, and that's it.
Yeah, it's nice, it's short, it's to the point, and it basically gives us everything we want out of a nice, good answer. We owe this to our country. We want to protect it, and that's all
I
he
like
needs to
how he
write. It was
said,
good.
I owe it to my country. I really like that. I don't know who wrote it, but shout out, I guess. And then we got mostly because it's mandatory by law,
Yeah.
but as it's required legally, I like it because I'm making a difference, helping the people, maybe even saving lives. So this one is also really good. And like I said before, even though it's mandatory by law and you're forced to the army, like if you can get, there's exceptions that not everyone has to go, but whatever, we're not getting into that now. Maybe we could do an episode on that. But yeah, like I said before, even though you are being forced into it, a majority of the people actually want to serve anyway. Like this person, because it's mandatory by law, but he wants to make a difference, help people and save lives. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it builds on what I said before, that all I was expecting was just, oh, it's forced on, but this builds beyond that, and they actually want to do something with their service. It's more than just, I have to,
Right.
and I'm done. They want to actually, like, do something with their service. They might not have done it if it wasn't forced, but the fact that it's forced, they have this connection to the land, and they want to help as much as they can.
Right. Yeah. And then there's this one. This is a long one. Let's see if it's worth reading the whole thing. At the start, age 7 to 9, I didn't want to go to the army and I thought it was terrifying and I didn't want to be forced to do something that I didn't want to do. I guess that starts off with a little bit of my story. Later in life, 13 to 17, if you were to ask me what I thought of the army, I would tell you that it's really important and that I want to be in a top unit doing as much as I can, but soon after I got my Tzavishon, the Tzavishon, how do you explain the Tzavishon, Moshe?
So Savri Shon is the first turtle. Sorry, family joke. Savri Shon is basically your first call up to the army.
It's funny that you made that joke because whoever wrote this actually wrote Sav as turtle.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's your first call up to the army, where basically they have psychological and physical evaluation of you, and it gives you an official stats numbers that will help you get into the units you want. It's extremely important. Every person does it at 16, so for those of you who are about to do it well.
So yeah, this person, I got my Tzav Rishon, and I saw that the army is very important part of your life. It helps many people mature. The army does not just put you in a unit. You do have a lot to say, and many of the units will help you in a life career. I'm trying to read this while translating because this is like broken English. I'm assuming an Israeli wrote this. But basically he's saying that it'll help you career-wise. And some lead you right into a stable, long-time job. All in all, I think the army is necessary parts of life. Again, broken English, so yeah, but I think you can understand. It's a good answer. I like that.
Basically, what he's saying is he was scared at a younger age, like many of us, just because the army, once you think about it, it is kind of scary. But then once he grew up, he realized there was a connection to the land, as we've said many times in this recent episode. There's a serious connection to the land. He wants to actually help with the land in some way, and he points out that the army is actually beneficial. It will help you get a career. It will give you a unit that more often than not is really helpful, all the way from, as I said before, cyber can get you into the tech world, the startup world, and all the way to being a combat soldier can help you get many different types of guard jobs. Because I can't think of a better way of saying it.
Yeah, and any job in the army will, it's good on the resume. Any job you get in Israel, they'll ask you what you did in the army, and no matter what you did, it's helpful. Even a job that like I guess society would put as like a low job or like a bad job, it's still like there's nothing not important in the army. In the army, they not a lot of people know this. I don't remember what it's called, but they actually have like a special unit for special needs people where they take like teenagers or like I guess adults or whatever whoever it is with autism, let's say, and they actually give them jobs to do in the army. And I think that's amazing. That's really cool.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. That we are also the only army on the face of this planet that would ever even think of doing something like that. That goes back to the serious connection we have to the land, because no other army would even imagine doing that, and no other person in the world
I
wants
don't
to do
know
that
if
for their
another
army.
army does that. None that I know of, but it could be. I don't know.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine any army doing that. That is the craziest thing.
Yeah, and then whatever. I'm not gonna fully read the rest of them, but some people said that they just want to give back to their land. It's important to me, so the country can break the person's personality, molding him or her into who they want to become. Into who they want to become.
Yeah, no, that's something I agree with. It's the army, at least for me personally, and I feel for many others also, it will give us more of a personality. Yeah, especially after Mechina, which gives you that first stage, and then once you really get into the army, you'll turn into who you probably will be for many, many years of your life. It gives you the personality because you're going through things that you will not go any other 18-year-old from any other place in the world will not be going through because most of them don't draft. Like there's a thing that I've seen there's a thing that I've seen several many times that an 18-year-old in Israel is very different from an 18-year-old in America. An 18-year-old in Israel is holding an M16, while an 18-year-old in America is holding a pen at college.
Yeah. So then we also asked if no, why? Meaning if you're not drafting, then why are you not drafting? So we got in a few interesting answers over here too. So someone wrote, although I believe that the IDF is tremendously important, I feel that one, it is overcrowded beyond capacity, and serving at this point would only be selfish drain on the country's already limited resources. And two, I spent many years learning Torah instead of army service. As we see in Halacha, for every soldier, there should be one who stays behind and studies. So, about the first part, overcrowded beyond capacity, the IDF, I think, is one of the strongest armies in the world, and the dedication that the soldiers have is just amazing. And yes, if a few people here and there don't draft, I don't think it's the end of the world. But personally, I don't think that's an excuse to say I don't want to draft. And to call it selfish, I kind of disagree because they'll put you somewhere. They have what to do with you, with every soldier. Even if it's just, like I said before, there's no bad jobs. There's no bad jobs. Number two, I agree with number two. As a Jew, I just have to agree with that. Not have to, but I willingly agree with that. That learning Torah, yeah, that it is definitely important. And if everyone were to draft and, no one's learning Torah, then, at the end of the day, we're Jews, and that is part of, religion and belief. But on this podcast, we don't talk religion, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But personally, I do agree with that. And then next up, somebody said too old.
Well, actually, that's not true. There is no too old. I heard of some friend of the family, I think it was, who drafted at like in his 60s, I think it was, and the army put him in some, like, I don't remember what the unit was, but they put him in some like unit, and this guy drafted it for the first time to the IDF
That's
in the
crazy.
60s. Yeah, so there is no too old. So whoever said that, if you're listening on this, you're not too old.
Yeah, so next, again, these are not drafting reasons. So someone here said, so I can still keep my religion. Okay, so I do want to talk about that. I really do want to address that, Moshe. Keeping religion in the army, first of all, there are special units for ultra-Orthodox Jews, meaning religious Jews. So,
Well, hold on. Not even just ultra orthodox. There's also special units just for the orthodox Jews. Normal modern day
modern
Orthodox that
Orthodox.
are
Yeah,
not.
so there's that
We
too, but
did our entire
I'm
high
saying
school. Remember
there's
that back when we were in high school? Yeah, modern.
yeah, so there's
No, but we did our entire high school history project on keeping your religion in the army.
the melting pot.
Yeah. Hey, you were
Yeah.
listening.
when the religious Jews and the non-religious Jews served together and how they bonded.
Yeah, maybe we can do an entire episode on that, but because we already got the research done.
Our history
Uh,
teacher would be very
but
proud.
she would. Shout out. But basically, Yeah, what we learned from that is besides the fact that there are units specifically for the modern Orthodox and the ultra Orthodox, um, there are actual ways to keep your religion in the army that, besides the fact that many modern Orthodox and even ultra Orthodox are currently in the army. Our main teacher, our homeschool teacher, when we were in high school, told us once that at this point it's become rather normal for you to hear like extremely religious sayings on the radio, like Yishar Koach, which went back when it was like mostly controlled by the Chilonim, the non religious people. You never hear that. At this point, you have more religious people in the army than non-religious. So you can't really go off the fact that it's impossible to keep your religion in the army.
Yeah, overall, it's you're able to be religious in the army. So whoever wrote that, again, if you're listening, you're able to stay religious in the army. And whoever didn't write that, if that's something you're afraid of, talk to us and we could help you out because you could definitely stay religious in the army. Okay, now next up, our second survey, we have drafted or currently either former soldiers or current soldiers, including lone soldiers. So starting with the current soldiers that are not lone soldiers, we got 3 responses. One of them said, "Gotta protect our country," straight out. I like that. And then there's this one. It's in Hebrew. I'm gonna translate it. This is Google Translate, so I just hope it makes sense. "This is not a question of important or not. It is a moral obligation. I lived calmly and peacefully until enlistment. Since then, I have lived quietly within the borders of the state of Israel. Everyone has a time he gives to the state and keeps the rest." So let me just explain the broken Google Translate in human words. Basically, it's not a question of, forced or not. It's it's like it's a moral obligation. I don't know how else to phrase that, but he's saying that he lived in peace until his draft date, and ever since then, he's been living quietly in the borders of Israel. And I like that. Like, it's a good phrase. I like, and I think I know who wrote that. I can take one guess. But basically, he's like, you lived quietly up until the draft date, meaning you're not physically fighting or anything, and then after you draft, you're able to say that you live in Israel in behind peaceful borders because of the service that you're giving. So you're defending your country and you're able to live in peace. I like that. And then another one: "Be an active part of your nation by defending it from extinction."
Yeah, I think these are all generally the same thing in different words, where you have to protect your country, you have to be a part of this thing, and they think that it's more than just you're being forced. Once you go into it, you see how much the IDF is actually needed and the morals behind what you're doing here and how important it is.
Right, so I think this goes along with like what I liked in the other survey, where the person said about like after thousands of years we finally have it, so we have to like keep it ours. So this goes along with that, I think. It's interesting. Next up, we have questions for the lone soldiers, and we got 3 responses, although one of them is just a dot, so it's not really an answer. So we got 2. One of them, again, I translated Google Translate. "The desire to be a part of this amazing country, the desire to take part in historical vision that is being realized in our generation. My grandparents only dreamed of a Jew who knows how to take care of himself. I too can fulfill the dream." I think that says it all. I don't think there's anything to really explain about that. I guess that's more of a personal answer.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm luckily not a lone soldier. I have my family here with me in Israel. But the fact that there are lone soldiers, people who come from other countries to fight for Israel, is just amazing.
Yeah,
It's
a hundred
crazy that they'll
percent.
just
Let's take
turn
a
18,
break and just
leave
give a
everything,
shout
and
out
come
to
here.
lone soldiers. Like, honestly, kol hakavod to you guys. it's an amazing, amazing thing. Like, I have serious respect for people who come. You know, they come for yeshiva, their gap year in Israel, and they end up staying for 3 extra years or 2 years. I think it's less time for a lone soldier, and they just give these years of their lives to Israel, and it's the most amazing thing ever. So yeah, we got a few more responses, but I think those are like the main ones. We're going overtime here. I like what the people said. It was very interesting answers that they gave that we got. You could learn a lot about, like we spoke about in a previous episode, the how it's beyond patriotism. It's this connection that Jews have to Israel is you can't describe it. It's amazing.
Okay, that's another one of our amazing episodes. Stay tuned for next week when we post another one. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We have a Facebook page where we post updates. On our website,
Something
withinzionism.wix.com/podcast,
like
I
that.
think.
Yeah, just,
You can find it on all of our social medias. Yeah, you can find it on all of our social medias if you that wasn't the right thing. But you can listen there. You can listen almost anywhere where you listen to podcasts. Leave a comment. Leave a review. Leave a like. Follow us on YouTube. Also, we've been doing our best to really create episodes for there. Also, we've got SoundCloud. And just, yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week.
yeah, and stay safe and have a great day.